So you have two handouts. You have one that's titled Executive Function, and then the other one is the middle school organization plan. So we're going to begin with the executive function. And during my presentation, I will always also refer to some of the handouts that are on the back counter if you would like to pick one up after the meeting. So I want to tell you just a little bit about myself. I am not a certified coach. I am not a, I don't have a specialty in executive function or organization. I've been a teacher for 23 years. 15 of those years have been here at school at Tenney School. Before that, I was in Montessori. I have a total of 7 children. My husband has 4, and then we have 3 together. So we have had over the years a lot of little feet and now big feet running in and out of the house. And so most of my knowledge comes from not only parenting, but teaching and just a host of webinars, conferences. My 2 boys, my 2 youngest, both have ADHD without the hyperactivity component. Okay, theirs is mostly just the attention deficit or the attention challenges, as I like to say. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. So we're going to begin with executive function. So the definition I'm using for executive function, it comes from the Center on Developing Child from Harvard University. And that definition is, and you have it at the top of your handout, a set of skills that underlie the capacity to plan ahead, meet goals, display self-control, follow multi-step directions, even when interrupted, and stay focused despite distractions, among others. That's a lot.
I know, I don't have it.
It's not at the top.
No. It's on this side.
Oh, there it is. Yeah,
Did I get it? It's like the set of skills. Okay, got it.
that page.
Is this it?
The other side, right here.
Got
Okay. So that's a lot. I don't know if any of us can do all of that and do it 100%. So because it's a skill that you are not born with, it's a skill that's learned, and it's a skill that there's skills that have to be practiced. So going back to the Harvard University definition, it's analogous to the airport traffic control system. Okay, you have runways with planes landing, you have runways with planes taking off, you have runways where planes are just taxiing, you have planes in the air coming in, leaving, and all of that information has to be held in your working memory, which I'll kind of get to a little bit later. But it's our job as parents and teachers to figure out things for our kids and to help them learn how to do these skills. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is planning ahead. We're also going to talk about meeting goals, using self-control, and following multi-step directions. Okay? So think about it. If we have these 4, and they're on for that first executive function handout, these 4 areas: planning ahead, meeting goals, using self-control, and following multi-step directions. Think about your child. Where do you think your child needs the most help? You know, for one of mine, I would have said all 4, back when he was this age. You know, but your child may not need so much help in each area. After you do that, think about what you yourself find challenging. Okay? Think about what you do not do well. Where do you need help? So, planning ahead. So, think about your typical day. Your typical day is getting up, getting ready, getting yourself ready, getting your children or child ready, getting them to school, getting to work, doing whatever it is you have to do at work, picking them up from school, getting home, getting dinner, running errands. All of that takes executive function. All of that takes everything we have to get through the day. And the better our executive functioning skills are, the easier it's going to be. It's the same for our children, okay? So most of you have a planner. Some of you may have a secretary and an assistant. You know, that's my husband. He doesn't have to think about those things at work. And then I call his assistant his office wife. And then he has me at home. So, some of us are very privileged that we have other people around us to kind of take care of those things. I'm not so lucky. I don't have that. So we have to think about our kids. Our kids are having to do all of these things on their own. They have adults around them to help, but we have to focus on teaching them. So did you learn by experience? Or did someone actually teach you these skills? Okay, so how can you help your student be organized? One of the ways is to keep every single thing that they need to do their homework in one place at home. Choose an area if they do their work at the kitchen table, choose an area in the kitchen. If they do it in the dining room, at the dining room table, just have one shelf in the dining room. Same for their bedroom. Although bedrooms are not the perfect place for kids to do homework because there's so many distractions. So after everything has a home, and what kinds of things? Pens, pencils, their computer, Post-it notes, their binder, their books. Anything that they need to do that homework needs to be on that shelf or in that area. The second thing kids need, just like we have to use planners, and we have planners here for our students to use, they have to have other things like calendars, whiteboards. I know for me, I use a host of sticky notes because I have to have everything visible. That's just what I've learned about myself. And so I have pens well, not really pens. I don't like for them to write with pens, but I have pencils, I have markers, I have highlighters. I have sticky notes on my shelf in my room. And usually by middle of the semester, kids have started learning how to use those sticky notes. And I actually have a couple now that know how to go to the shelf, get a sticky note, and put it on the front of their binder. Because they don't like using the planner, even though we stress using that planner. Simply because, and when I go to the their binder system, no plan is perfect. We have to tweak things for students, okay?
With the sticky notes, like what would they put on there? Like if there's a test or something on the binder?
They could put it on whatever information they need
for that
to
day.
that day to help them remember. Yeah. Okay. It's teaching them to know. It's called metacognition, knowing what you know, or how to know what you know and how to do it. So it's teaching them that, and asking them questions. What do you need to do to remember this homework? I'm going to write it in your planner for you, but what do you need? Because a lot of our kids will not look in their planners when they get home. Some of them won't look in their planners when they go to homeroom. So it's teaching them that they have to have it written down somewhere. And that all goes back to working memory. So, consistent routines at home are really important. What is your child's schedule when they come home? Do they immediately go to their room to play video games? Do they immediately sit down at the table to do their homework? Probably not. Do they immediately go to their fridge for a snack? It doesn't really matter what the routine is as long as it's a routine. If they can go to their room for 10 minutes and play video games and then come out and sit down and do their homework, that's great. But homework should really be at the front of the schedule, at the top of the schedule. That way, when they finish, they have rewards. Okay, it doesn't have to be a big reward. Maybe they get 10 more minutes of playing their video game. I mean, you can give them that free, 15, 20 minutes or even 30 minutes when they get home and let them choose what they want to do. A lot of my ideas are wrapped around choices, getting them to help you make up that routine. What do you want to do first? These are the things you have to do. These are the things you want to do. So all of us have to choose what we do. So what do you want to do first? Do you want to go to the fridge and get your snack and watch a video first? And then you start on your homework at 3 o'clock or 3:30? Or do you want to go on and just get it done and over with so you have the rest of the afternoon to do what you want to do? Okay, and then the rewards can be anything, whatever it is that they find interesting.
There's a way for us to know what homework is given out. I think I saw a link, but I never got on it.
We have the portal for grades, and they have their homework should be written in their planner. And I'll show you this. So this is their binder. Okay, so they have their schedule here. Homework to be turned in or to be done is here. They should have a pencil case, and then they have their planner. And they should write their homework, or if they don't write their homework, teachers will write their homework in the planner. And so the way the planner is divided into days, we do have a section for months, but in middle school, we don't use it. So we have a section for each day. I will sometimes ask if I notice that if I assign something that's due, say on Wednesday, and I see the student writing it on Wednesday, I'll ask them, why are you writing it on Wednesday? Oh, because that's the way I'll look at Wednesday to know what needs to be turned in that day. And I'll say, okay. Otherwise, I would prefer for them to have it written on the day it's assigned. And because they have 3 days for English, sometimes I've got a few students who I may see on Monday and I don't see them on Tuesday or Wednesday. Therefore, I have to I'll write down due Thursday so that they'll know that that's when it's due. Generally, homework is due the next day that they have class, not the next school day, but the next day that they have class. Does that help?
Super helpful.
Okay.
And if there's no homework, if it's a blank thing, there's no homework.
If it's blank, there's no homework. Yeah. Yeah. And
And if there is homework, y'all are making sure that this young age, that they are writing it down. So we
That's
can feel
the-
confident that if it's blank, there's no homework, we can feel confident. that
yes,
we're not doing that.
yes, because at this age, they don't want to write it down.
This relationship with the truth.
At this age, they don't want to write anything down, and so I will say, give me your planner. I will write it down for you. Others prefer to write it down. Others will ask me, what do I write? And I'll tell them what to write. Okay. So yes, you can be fairly confident that whatever the homework is, that it's going to be in their planner. And if there's nothing there, then they don't have homework. Okay. So while I'm on the binder system, let me go in and go through. So after we have after the planner, they really need to have they really need to have pockets in their dividers, because if homework goes in the front and they all want to just stick their homework, or they want to stick all work in the front, and then what happens is the plastic doohickeys get stretched, and then nothing stays. Okay, so the pockets here are for work in progress. They may not be working on it actively right now, but they will need it for whatever the next test is. Okay?
Really neat.
Yeah. Yeah, it won't, they don't stay neat for very long. Yes. And then after they take the test, ideally, they get holes put in the papers and it goes behind the divider. Okay? That way they're keeping materials for the exam. Okay, now I'm keeping my English students, my 7th and 8th graders, I'm keeping their tests, because last year some of them threw their tests away and they didn't have them to study for the final. So if you don't see a test in their binders, it's because I have it. Okay? And basically they just need, and then sometimes kids like extra paper in the back. However, we have, for my students, we have yellow spiral folders or notebooks. And that's where they're keeping everything that they need to go back to reference, like character traits lists or grammar lists that they need to go back and refer to. Okay? And if you're not sure about anything, just ask us. You know, particularly Miss Mitchell, she knows all of this. But yeah, so it really needs to be a 3-inch binder to hold everything for the semester. And then the pockets in their dividers are really important. It takes a while. Yeah, it takes a while. You have to be persistent about it. Huh? But one of the things is that if we have neurodivergent children, okay, meaning if your child has dyslexia, ADHD, they have some kind of other Tourette's, they're on the autism scale or spectrum, they are generally behind most of their peers. So I do know that for my ADD boys, particularly my youngest, he's about 4 years behind where he should be. He's 27 and he's still in college, but he's getting through. You know, he's making all A's, which I'm like, okay, I guess I can accept that, because he's, you know, a little, you know, perfectionistic, but they are behind. They're behind emotionally, they're behind socially. Sometimes they're behind academically, but not always. You also have 2E kids. 2E kids are those kids that have the ADD, the dyslexia, whatever learning difference. However, academically, they're really smart. They're smarter than their peers. And those are the kids that you really have a harder time with, simply because you're working on 2 different levels with them. You have to keep up with the academics with them, yet sometimes They may be 2 deviations below the mean in processing speed.
So that's actually something I'm suffering with my daughter. So we actually have her in like a social esteem group because she's like brilliant, but socially she's
Mhm.
behind. So do you have any recommendations of anything else I can put her in?
I'll have to think about it, not off the top of my head. Yeah, if you email me,
What's your email?
Knowles at,
Are you on here?
no, it's not on there. All of our teacher emails are our last name at tennyschool.com.
What's your
So it's KNOWLES at tennyschool.com. Yeah. Okay. So schedule breaks. When you schedule whatever schedule they're going to have, schedule in breaks. Ask, when do you want to do your homework? If they're having a hard time starting, it doesn't matter where they start. Just tell them, go get your pencils and your calculator and sit at the table. And then we'll look at your planner and we'll figure it out from there. Sometimes I personally like to do my easy work first and then my hard work. Some people like to do their hard work, get it out of the way, and then they breeze through their easy work. This is taking longer than I thought, so I thought I would just kind of run through some of the things that I think are the most important. Getting the work to school. Once they have finished it, it's done. It needs to go back in the binder. So remember to ask them, where is the homework? Ideally, that needs to happen the night before. With my boys, we had, when they were younger, we had tags on the backpack. What needs to go in the backpack? Because we also had sports after school. When they got older, it was a list by the front door or the back door, wherever door we were going out of for that next morning. And then after that, by that time, they had phones. So we would use the reminders on their phone to help them to remember. And you can put the alert on their phone so that if they're walking out of the door at 8 o'clock, set the alert for 10 minutes to 8, and it'll pop up and they'll remember, oh yeah, I need to grab whatever to put in my backpack. And if you have younger kids, there's a backpack tag list on the back table. Backwards planning. This is something, there's a podcast. There are 2 podcasts that I put on your sheet that I really, really like. And I actually found Sarah Kesty this summer. And yeah, I already knew of her. I already knew of her. Yes.
No, okay.
So,
Sarah Kesty is an executive functioning coach
Yeah.
that I hired for Savannah and connected her with Knowles. And she did, you did such a great job with, like, thank you.
oh, you're welcome.
Sarah Kesty.
So, so Ms. Kesty tells you to do backwards planning, basically deconstructing what needs to be done and working backwards. So if, you know, and if we go back to the airport analogy, if you're getting ready to take a trip, well, what do we have to do first? First, we have to decide, are we going to fly or are we going to drive? If we're flying, then we've got to make sure that we get our ticket, or else it's going to be, you know, just enormous amount for the ticket. So we've got to get our ticket early. We have to pack. We have to decide where we're going. If it's, you know, and so basically, you know, and then we have to decide, okay, when do we have to leave for the airport? That's backwards planning. If we have to be somewhere at a certain time, we have to go through all of those steps. So deconstruct it. Our multi-step directions, our working memories. So if you have a non-neurodivergent student, their working memory may be the size of this index card, okay? What our working memories do is our working memories pull information from long-term memory. They pull information that we may have in short-term memory. They pull information, it pulls information from the environment. It has to hold all of that information, synthesize it, make it work, figure it out, put it together in order to come up with whatever it is that you're doing. Say you're working on a project. If you have a non-neurodiversity, not diverse student, it may be the size of this index card. If you have a neurodiverse student, it may be the size of this yellow sticky note or anywhere in between. So think about how much you could hold, how much this little tiny Post-it note can hold versus how much the index card can hold. Okay? And we really have to be kind to our students because they are most of the time doing the best that they can. We as they can only chunk maybe 5 things at a time. Sorry. Separate the behavior from your child. Your child's behavior is not your child. It's simply the way their brain is working. Okay? Be kind to them. They need a buy-in. They need to know why am I doing this? What's the purpose of this? Ask questions, give them choices, give them some power. That's all they want. They just want to have some power. They don't want adults telling them all day long what to do and what not to do. Not helpful to fight. You have to pick and choose your battles. What are we going to work on today, this week, this month? It may be only one thing, but if it's just one thing, then maybe that one thing will get better. Maybe if we just work on using the planner, maybe just using that planner and focusing on the planner and nothing, and other fewer things will help us get through. And remember to give them treats, give them rewards for the things that they do well. Okay. I would love to answer questions, but I have a student, so I appreciate everyone. Thank you very much.